Afternoon, everybody. So I've just watched the latest in Young Justice Infiltrator. This is where we finally see the introduction of the newest member of the team, Artemis. She actually saved the gang last week when they were taking on Amazo, because obviously a mysterious arrow appeared and they thought it was green arrows, but then they kind of assumed it was also Speedy. But in this episode it's confirmed that it wasn't Speedy, it wasn't Green Arrow, it was in fact Artemis, who seems to be a very shady character. She's got a bit of a, looks like there's some serious history to her, and just watching the end of the episode there, it looks like she's actually working for someone, for the bad guys. It looks like she appears to be anyway. Even Speedy, who now calls himself Red Arrow, has his suspicions as well, even though Green Arrow states that she is his niece. But yeah, definitely is something else going on there. But this episode was all about the League of Shadows obtaining a device that was created by a doctor that allows them to it's got these millions of tiny microscopic robots that can eat through anything pretty much, but their real purpose is to steal, you know, highly classified data and stuff from computers, which I thought was quite neat. And they target, first of all target a school, then they target Star Labs, and their third target was Wayne Tech, of which luckily they didn't get to because it was thwarted by Robin and Superboy. But it's when they took out the Star Labs. After that you had Kid Flash and Miss Martian and Aqualad, along with Artemis. Kid Flash obviously still isn't happy that Artemis is on the team, because as far as he's concerned, she's kind of pushed Red Arrow out of the picture. So it kind of, for Kid Flash, it's difficult for him to accept Artemis as a new member of the team. He kind of like had to be forced to welcome her into the team, because he obviously misses Roy a lot. And you know, when you're in a circle of friends like that, and you've known each other for a long time, and then you know that particular friend of yours disappears, or they decide that they don't want to be with you anymore, and then someone else comes in to kind of replace them. Well, yeah, you can kind of understand where Kid Flash is coming from. But Robin, yet again, his words, that kid has a way with words. Did you hear him at the end though? The infiltrators have been outfiltrated. I'm thinking, dude, oh dear, you're so funny. But what about the whole mind thing as well, when Miss Martian had them all telepathically linked up, and then there's Artemis staring at Superboy thinking, that boy, and Miss Martian's like, excuse me, we can hear you. Like everyone can hear. She was like, yes, I'm fully aware of that. I do apologise. And then even Kid Flash does a similar thing later on, saying to Miss Martian how she gave him mouth to mouth, and then he was like, oh dang it! Like, shit, I shouldn't have said that so loud. Oh dear, what an awesome show it is. Seriously, it really is an awesome show. So this other character that we found, who they were after, she was targeting the Doctor. We don't even know her name, but she kind of reminded me so much of, in the comics, it's Roy's like ex-missus. I'm trying to remember what her name was. It begins with a C. I can't remember what her name is, but she kind of reminded me of her. But it looks like her and Artemis know each other pretty well. So again, there's a bit of history between them two. So Artemis, I think we've got to keep a close eye on Artemis. I think there's something to her that is very, very shady as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, Superboy wasn't that heavily featured in this episode. There wasn't really much about him. I still think though that later on at some point we're going to get another sort of Superboy centric episode, because after last week's episode, Schooled, where you know, Batman is telling Superman that, look, however you look at this, he is actually your son, and where Superman was like, no he's not, I'm not gonna be the father of this kid, you know, he's not my son, and why should I bother with him? But in all in all fairness, you know, Superman needs to, you know, he has to help Superboy out at the end of the day, because yes, he's the clone of Superman, but Superman needs to look after him. He needs to, you know, bring him up and teach him the right ways and stuff like that. So I do hope that eventually, I'm pretty adamant that we are going to get a Superboy centric episode again, hopefully. So we'll see what happens anyway. But it was nice to see Speedy, Red Arrow rather, back on the scene, pretty much working on his own, but it's still, even he's weary about Artemis as well. So yeah, he's going to keep an eye on her as well. So there you have it, Young Justice episode 6, titled Infiltrator. Well, that's it from me. I'm now going to be outfiltrated and watch the latest in Smallville, and you'll see my review of that later. Laters.